The Film Slice crew review Glass. Isn't that
Glass.
right, lads? We all...
Is it
We've
half
reviewed
full
it.
or half empty? Hey team, Megan Strecker here, and welcome to the Film Slice podcast. I'm joined, as always, with my co-host Kane Diggly Wiggly, Kane Dogs.
Hi there.
And Bro Diddly Doo, Broadman
The man
Richards.
formerly known as Brody
Oh.
Dilly Brudo Richards, but is now known as
Doddy.
Dotty.
Dotty. Alright, welcome Dodie to the podcast that you're always at.
Cheers.
Why are we talking about cheese?
This week we are reviewing Glass.
Yes,
Glass.
Not the substance, the movie. Does it have substance? Kane Dogs, hit us up. IMDb summary.
we are. There was a lot in that. There's
Thank
a lot
you.
to unpack. I'm choosing to
IMDb.
unpack
Just do
none of
it.
Security guard David Dunn uses his supernatural abilities to track down Kevin Windlecrumb, a disturbed man who has 24 personalities. That's not really what this movie was about.
Nor is
that's
he
the
really a
first 20.
security guard.
That's the first scene, and he's not even a security guard in that movie.
David Dunn, good old Double D, coming
Yeah.
at ya.
Also, Kevin Windlecrumb is the dumbest best name
Yeah,
ever.
yeah, it is shockingly
It sounds like
shit.
it should be in a Harry Potter film.
Yeah.
Kevin Windlecrumb.
What house do you belong in? I'm in the Windlecrumbs.
Yeah, I'm a Windlecrumb.
What are you? Oh, you're a Hufflepuff? Get the fuck out of here.
Sorry, all the Hufflepuffs listening to this.
No, I
podcast.
don't give a shit. I'm a Slytherin. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah, I'm Gryffindor. Angus,
Ooh.
Hey,
are
I'm
you a-
Dumbledore.
Are you a Windlecrumb?
You're Dumbledore.
When you
Glass
see the-
was
Glass.
a film.
Glass, it was a film that happened. It's come and gone.
When you
Yeah.
see
Good night,
the movie,
everybody.
what did you think?
When you see the movie, what did you think? Do you like the movie? None of the shit. Saw
take
the
it?
movie on Saturday afternoon. I thought it was just okay.
Kane Dogs, when you see the movie, what do you think?
So I'm quite hurt because I also saw the movie with Brody Saturday afternoon with my girlfriend and Brody's brother, and I thought it was real bad
How come I don't get invited to these things?
because you were on a vacation. It was real shit. It was so bad that it inspired us to then hire M. Night Shyamalan's greatest movie, The Last Airbender, live action, and then we watched and destroyed the shit out of that too.
There you
Angus,
go.
when did you see the movie and what did you think?
Thanks for asking, man. I saw the movie this afternoon.
Of course you did.
And it was alright. It wasn't anything big.
Had you seen the other two?
No, I haven't seen any lead up
So you
to
haven't
this.
seen either of them?
Nah.
Oh, dude, okay. Unbreakable is good and Split is okay.
Yeah.
Split's weird.
Unbreakable's real good though.
Unbreakable is good.
Okay. Well, I have to watch it because I mean, this one was like it was all right, and I watched it with the intention not to watch the first two because I wanted to see if it was a good standalone movie, and like I did understand it all, and like the characters were kind of well rounded enough
it
to
is-
know what's happening, but also there's so many things in there that's just like, oh, remember this name? Like, no, I haven't seen the movie.
Yeah. And even then, if you have seen the movies, a lot of that stuff is still really unimportant, forced. It's like, remember this? And it's like, yeah. I mean, I saw a trailer breakdown of Split 5 years ago, and they mentioned that was the probability. It's not a reveal.
Lads, you know how every week I put up on Instagram and Twitter, sometimes, this time being
time-
like half an hour before, what movie we're reviewing, and ask our slices out there what they thought of the film in question.
I'm aware. Wolf.
Guess how many people we got?
I'm going to say 1 because he probably put it up like 30 minutes ago.
In fact, I did put it up 30 minutes ago, and you greatly overestimate our listeners. So, nothing. We got nothing.
Fair
But
enough.
that is partially my fault, because I put it up very late.
Yeah.
Kane Dogs, anyone on Facey?
Yeah, so prior to... Because last time we decided to actually mention we were doing this movie in the last podcast. So prior to me asking Kirby Heights, who has confirmed that she still listens to us regardless of
K-Banger.
how often we offend her, has just decided to write on her own page and tag us in it, saying,
good.
Glass, loved it, better than Unbreakable and Split put together.
Oh.
And then it continued, because then I put up the have you seen it and what did you think? And then she said, loved this movie. And then Nathan Clinic said, review Instant Family, I'm actually going to see that one. And then I got a call from Kirby last night, 'cause we're friends, we talk, you know, I have friends.
So it's not
You
a,
have
I don't have
friends?
friends.
not a real listener. It's
Not
like-
a real listener, a friend listener. But she was like, "What are your thoughts?" And I was like, "I don't know if I should tell you." She was like, "I'll still listen to the podcast, promise." So I told her all the reasons I hated this film, and I think I've turned her. So ignore the first two things she said.
Sorry.
Well,
Kirby. Sorry.
let's unpack that further. Cane Dogs, would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to?
Nah, I think watch Unbreakable. That's...
Nah.
Here's the thing: Unbreakable is great by itself, and Split is enjoyable by itself. And I think if you put them together, there's one or two people that were like, "That's interesting." But this movie ruins. It was kind of the same problem I had with other movies, where my idea of what this movie could have been is so much better than the movie we got. And I think if you watch the first two, your imagination will be infinitely better than the movie they gave us.
Yeah.
Even the trailer is a better description of a movie than what they gave us.
Yeah. Birdman, when did you see the movie? No.
We already done that.
When
I'm
did you see
going
the
to tell you
movie?
if I recommend this film and, if,
Would you-
and to whom.
Birdman, would you recommend it? Who would you recommend it to?
No, not really. I think that these stories didn't need to become an MCU. That's the M. Night Shyamalan Cinematic Universe. MCU. I don't think that it was worthy enough or even meant to be anything even close to some sort of cinematic universe or continuing story.
It felt very much like he did Split, and at the end he went, "Tell you what, put this Bruce Willis bit in, and if Split does well, I'll pretend I was trying to do a trilogy all along." Angus, would
you.
you recommend this movie to anybody?
Nah.
Nah. Doesn't deserve a recommend. Doesn't deserve a watch.
You may be able to tell, but I'm a bit deflated today. I'm a bit sick and run down, and that didn't help me in watching this movie. But it felt like it inspired me to make movies because I knew I could make something as good as this because it didn't look that hard.
It had some
looks
simplistic
like
Yeah.
shots.
it looks like a really good student film.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it had ideas that I was like, oh, I don't quite understand. I can see where you're coming from, but like maybe a bit more. And like a lot of the action wasn't good
No.
at all.
I've
Like
got a great description of
like
it. But
it's very very much like what we could come up with in year 12 for our year 12
Yeah,
final
I also
assignment.
think it's also very heavily tarnished because the night before I had just watched The Last Samurai, which is
We
still
both- again, not
exceptional.
mentioning me, but
no,
we
I
watched that
deliberately didn't.
together.
I deliberately didn't mention you that
But
time.
we
'cause
watched that together
I knew,
too.
I knew it would tick you up.
Brody's trying to hide our relationship. I feel
And,
like he's ashamed.
And The Last Samurai is still a really good film. It came out in like
incredible.
in like 2003 or something, and it
Yeah.
is still exceptionally good. So I think that made it
Billy
even
Connolly is in it,
even
which
worse.
I forgot, but he's great.
Let's get into spoilers.
Yeah, just like blanket statement before spoilers. Nah.
nah,
nah.
fair.
Yeah, fair
Back up.
enough.
Oh, what a cool sound effect, Angus.
All right, we are in the spoiler section where we dissect and divulge everything about the film. You've been warned. Tally ho, gents.
What I'm
Cinema
worried
dicks.
about is Brody's got something written down for Cinema Dick.
Yep.
And I was sitting in the cinema, and I don't remember there being a Cinema Dick, which means I was the Cinema Dick.
Bang on there, Jordan Miranda. So, Cinema Dick. Jordan did his weird sitting thing again. He sat 3 seats into an empty row, and he was the first of 4 people to sit down. So, after he sat down, 3 normal people had to brush past him one by one and sit further into the row. So Jordan was leading us. It was Jordan, then his girlfriend, then my brother, then me at
have
the
a
back.
defense for
Jordan
this.
walked 3 seats into a completely empty row. Now, the usual thing is, you have an empty row, you sit in the middle, best seats in the house. Jordan sits 3 seats in, then his girlfriend has to brush past him to sit a further seat in. Then my brother brushed past her and sat a further
Incorrect.
seat in.
She didn't
and
brush
then,
past me. She sat on my right.
And then I brushed past them all to sit even further into the
Gone
row.
around?
It was that. What is wrong with you, Jordan?
Okay, do I get it?
I know that you have
Just don't lead
some
the pack.
Do I get
lame
a defense?
excuse. You have some lame excuse
not a lame
about
excuse.
people that's sitting behind you.
Exactly.
But Jordan, there was 2 people in the row back.
Yeah, no,
you
but
could
they
have
were
sat
in the middle.
any number of seats.
I did. I sat 3 seats in.
And oh
And
my
then
god,
toward
Jordan just
exactly-
assumed that the 4 of us want to sit on the edge of the
No,
completely
I just
empty
assumed
row.
you guys would want to sit in the middle, and I didn't want to sit with people behind me
Yeah.
because
So,
I
you
get
want
sick
people
of-
to brush past you, so you stand next to the row where I'm going to sit in, and you let people walk past you, so they don't have to
No,
brush
no.
past
We were
you.
all very indecisive for like a 30 seconds. Everybody was like, "Where do you want to
Oh
sit? What do
my
you?" And then
God.
I was like, "Fuck it, I'll go sit somewhere."
You're weird. You're
I
weird.
have a cinema dick, and it's your brother.
Okay.
And we sat in the cinema for maybe 15 minutes before the trailers or the movie started, and he waited until the trailer started to go to the toilet.
Yeah.
Look, I don't. It's fine. All right, Angus, do you have a cinema dick?
I have a little cinema dick. I went to the lady and I'm like, yeah, hook me up with some tickets.
And did she say?
And she was
sorry,
like,
sir.
"Sorry, old woman, you gotta have to cut down on the smokes.
You clearly have.
Before you come in."
She was like, "Sorry, you clearly have
Please put that cigarette.
You clearly have a severe case
Yeah.
of throat cancer.
So,
Maybe
Can I
would
please get 2 tickets?
You're also bleeding from the mouth.
Can I get 2 tickets to the theater, please? I need to see that news.
Is the cinema dick you because you died and was taken to a hospital?
I need 2 tickets.
excuse me.
Positives?
Yeah. Go for it.
Heading into positives.
All right, okay, Nogs, hit us up with some positives of the film.
Okay, my
Glass.
favourite-
M. Night Shyamalan.
Okay.
Shemalamaloo.
Shyamalan.
Shemmy wow.
I think I know what Brody's
Sham
is,
Bam
so
Whammading.
I'm not going to touch on it. I kind of have two. My first one is I think James McAvoy did a fantastic job blending his personalities again.
He's a good boy, isn't he?
You absolutely run the risk of being either overly stereotypical that it's offensive, or being like the characters all being so fleshed out that you can't tell the difference. I think he did a great job. And what they did in this, which they haven't done in Split, I know you didn't see Split, but in Split, every time he changed personalities, the camera didn't stay in his face for that. Whereas in this, you actually see him change personalities in front of the camera, which was an odd decision, but I think James McAvoy did excellently with that.
Yeah.
The other thing I really liked was the opening presentation of where David Dunn's character is at the moment. I think after Unbreakable, I really hoped that, he'd be doing the hero thing and sort of find out, his kid set up as, I wasn't sure I liked the kid being set up as a tech guy, but I like the fact that he's sort of got his, base of organization. Things have progressed for him along the lines that was sort of hinted at in Unbreakable. And I really liked that, because they could have decided to still have him he's a security guard at a football thing and he still doesn't believe he's got superpowers and all of that. I like that he's sort of fully enveloped as this superhero figure now. But other than those two things, it really sort of went downhill fast for me, I think.
Yeah.
I thought when I first watched this, I was like, oh, I think I really liked the first half of this film. But then it kept going. So I really liked the first third of the film.
Fair.
Yeah.
Fair go.
Yeah.
Birdman, positives.
I liked seeing M. Night Shyamalan in this film. He was the guy buying the camera at the tech store.
Yeah.
Where he's talking to Bruce Willis and Bruce Willis's son.
Let your dad take a walk.
Yeah. Just let him go for a walk. Yeah. That guy. That's M. Night Shyamalan.
So I didn't like
there you
that
go.
scene because I thought, regardless of what you think is happening there, I don't think you'd butt in on that, because you don't know that guy, that kid's dad doesn't have, a tendency to forget where he is and stuff like that. Maybe the kid's like, Dad, maybe don't go for a walk today. Remember yesterday we got lost and we had to call the... M. Night Shyamalan doesn't know any of that. He's just like, dude, fucking let your dad go for a walk. Jeez, I know nothing about this relationship or this man, but you're just being a dick.
Yeah.
That felt a bit odd to me, because I'm like, if I'm in a store buying something and the guy's like, I'm going to go for a walk, and the son I've been having a conversation with him, he seems down to earth and he's like, Dad, maybe don't go for a walk today. And the dad's like, nah, fucking I'm going for a walk. I would have been like, kid, you're clearly in the wrong here. Just stop repressing your old man.
See, I feel like
I'd stay out of it.
that's kind of like an attempt at being like a Stan Lee cameo in like an MCU film.
Yeah.
Very much
The
so.
problem is that everyone knows Stan Lee, and I didn't know that was M. Night Shyamalan.
Yeah, I
was
think
just
that's why I like it more. I think that's the only, because every time I see Stanley in a film, I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
It takes me out of it a little bit, because it's Stanley. But because that was M. Night, I was like, a lot of people won't know that that's M. Night. And so I actually did kind of like that. It's like when you see the Peter Jackson in the Lord of the Rings films.
See,
he walks in, he bites the carrot,
Yeah.
Or yeah.
I actually
It's
watched Twin Towers the other day.
Oh, yeah.
I watched it last night.
We've both come off the back of better movies.
The thing that I like about Peter Jackson's cameos is that he doesn't have any lines or
Yeah.
anything,
I
and
didn't
it's
know
just
Peter
like
Jackson
a
was in.
throwaway.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this
Yeah.
film since we were
Yeah.
kids.
It's literally just you have to watch for this, but
Yeah.
M. Night Shyamalan's was he had the whole
He was
scene.
he was fully in.
a
That
part
entire
of it.
scene almost was there just for
Yeah.
M. Night.
Yeah.
I also really liked that the Bruce Willis's son was the same actor from Unbreakable. because it made the films feel really connected.
Sam actor was the girl as well, leading on, but that's less impressive.
Yeah, because that was
And
like 2
there's
years ago.
and there's like a flashback as well to like what I'm assuming
Yeah.
is
In Unbreakable, where he's a kid, yeah,
And like,
and
oh,
it's
wow.
him, and you're like, oh, that's really awesome.
Yeah, I like
and
that
you,
too.
you like instantly know who that kid is,
And some
it's
de-aging as
been
well.
like 19 plus years or whatever, and he still looks really young. He's
Yeah.
like in his 30s or whatever, but yeah, still. I thought it was really cool seeing him.
And I also really like they spliced this movie. There's a part where they flash back to being on the train, and they splice it with actual footage of
Yeah,
the opening.
there was
shot
a lot
of
of splicing
Unbreakable,
with Bruce Willis as a
and it
younger
was
man.
really cool. So
Yeah.
the shot of him on the train where he looks really young and the footage looked a bit grainy, that's an actual splice where they cut across the chair just to the opening shot of Unbreakable, which is really
yeah,
cool.
right. Oh, wicked.
There was a lot of splicing. We saw a young Bruce Willis a number of times in this
Yeah.
film,
Yeah.
and I got to say I really liked it every time I saw
Yeah,
him.
it's pretty cool.
Because it made it feel like there was a passage of time. Other than that, cinematography was pretty good. I thought
Yeah.
it was like
The
it
music
was
I thought you were going to mention as well.
the soundtrack.
Because we stopped
was-
specific.
Sorry,
we stopped
John, we didn't say anything about Angus. What was your favorite part?
Oh, thanks for asking, bro. I really like the soundtrack.
Oh, it was good, wasn't
That was a
it?
good
I almost said
soundtrack.
that, but I knew you were going to say that.
I also almost alluded to that.
I really like the soundscape of everything. It was really early on that I noticed it as well. It
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
as soon as Bruce
Soundtrack
Willis,
was always good.
Bruce Willis opened the door, and it was just him putting the key into the lock, and it was this really kind of
It's like an eerie / heroic.
eerie, like clink, 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 like feeling the key going into place. And like from then, I kind of noticed the soundtrack, and you notice everything happening, and like everything's almost like. It's like your ears are super sensitive to everything that's happening,
Except
which
for-
is really cool.
Except for fucking like Samuel L. Jackson's wheelchair, which for some reason is the least oiled wheelchair in the world.
Yeah, yeah. Mind you, he can still
It's the
sneak around.
squeakiest chair ever, but he still squeaks around.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I really like the soundtrack, and yeah, bro, the cinematography I really enjoyed as well.
It wasn't amazing. But
No.
it wasn't just fine. It was definitely above par,
Yeah.
and it was above par to the point where it was noticeable that it was good.
Head on into our negatives then.
Negativos.
Broadman, you want to hit us up?
Yeah, sure. I thought that overall, even though there was a bunch of stuff that I didn't like and a bunch of stuff that I thought was stupid, I thought this film was a bit boring. I thought it was very slow paced and not in a good kind of like enticing and suspense building way. I thought it was just a bit slow and boring. There were so many scenes where it was just like Mr. Glass in a wheelchair looking at something, or like the therapist talking to one of them and nothing happens. And there was just so many moments. I think I talked about this a little bit with my brother as well, where I said that I think as soon as it got into the psychiatric ward, I think the film, I just didn't like the rest of the film. So
Slowed
like
down.
everything before the psychiatric hospital, I kind of enjoyed. I enjoyed the characters being out in the world, split, like whatever. The Beast is like finding girls and attacking them, and Double D, good old David Dunn, he's going around, he's trying to solve crimes. I liked all that stuff out in the world. And as soon as it got to the psychiatric
I would have done
hospital,
with
I think
more
it
of
just
that as
went
well.
downhill. Yeah,
I could have done with a lot more of that.
I think it just went way downhill. It just became really quite boring to me. I just thought this film just overall was slow and was a bit boring.
Feck up.
And I thought the fight at the end was just a bit of a letdown because they kind of amped it up. They like set
They
it up like
spend
this
a-
is gonna it's gonna be awesome. There's gonna be explosions in a building. It's gonna be in this thing, and we're gonna try to.
Don't spend the whole movie telling us that there's going to be a climactic fight between these two godlike characters on the top of a skyscraper, and then instead just have a. I've thought about this quite a bit in the car on the way home in terms of how I'd refer to this. A bit of a tussle.
A bit of a tussle in the
A
IGA
bit
car
of a
park.
tussle in a car park.
Yeah.
Against a, and it's not like it's not even that I want them all to be doing kung fu and shit like that. I don't want everyone to be skilled fighters, but it's like a high school shove. Like they sort of grab each other by the collars, and it's a bit of a tussle. They have a small tussle, and that was it.
Yeah.
They had a tussle at the start, and then a tussle at the end.
So is that your least favorite part, John, or do you have something else?
I have a million things, Brody.
Okay, you have a million things.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
we're talking about least favorite, not all of my least
Okay,
favorites.
my least favorite thing, I think, is the end where Samuel L. Jackson goes, "This was an origin story."
Yep.
No, it wasn't.
Yeah.
What are you talking about? It
Who's-
wasn't an origin. You can't just be like, and there's a corporation, they control everything. Good night.
Yeah.
This was just
Yeah.
a forced Shyamalan twist.
This wasn't an origin story at all. But what made that more annoying is when he said that, I got excited because I noticed what would usually be foreshadowing, but instead was just a random shot where the son, Bruce Willis's son, is in a comic book store, and at one point he goes to leave the comic book store and then purposely pauses for a good 30 seconds directly under a big neon sign in purple saying villains.
Villain, yeah.
And I went, that's foreshadowing straight up. And then it cuts to a girl reading superhero comics who's also a main character. Went, that there's no way those two shots are back to back like that for no reason. And then he goes, this is an origin story. And then the next shot is the kid being super pissed that Bruce Willis has been drowned in a puddle.
Yeah,
Presumably
you
in a
would be
puddle.
super pissed if your dad
Yeah.
just got drowned in front of you.
But my point is,
Maybe
I'm not-
super pissed isn't even the right word, John.
my-
Maybe incredibly depressed.
he was at least begrudged. Right. And I was like,
He was a bit miffed.
I was like, definitely this, like, he was like, this is an origin story. I'm like, oh my god, the kid's gonna turn into like I reckon maybe he has some powers that he's been hiding, and he's gonna become the villain. And then the next shot is James McAvoy dying in the girl's arms, and I'm like, sad death father figure story. She's gonna be a hero. That's what he means by it's an origin story of those two characters. But nah.
No.
So I guess it was an origin story for the girl being in the weird clover thing that we know nothing about and we will know nothing about, and their thing doesn't make sense because their thing is every time there's a hero that seems to be like have superpowers, we'll just knock them off. But if you ask me, Bruce Willis just had, and he says it himself, just like the powers of a fit guy. The only thing that makes it a superpower is that he's not a fit guy, but as he said, like, there are strong guys in gyms everywhere that can
Lift a car.
lift a car. Like, well, he doesn't lift a car,
Oh, yeah.
but just bend a small bar. He's like, there are plenty of people. So is this organization killing anyone with, like, how are they discerning who's got superpower? That guy's got brittle bones. Supervillain. That guy acts like a wolf. He can run slowly along a lawn on all fours. Knock him off. I don't know how they're deciding this, but as far as I can tell, they're just on a whim deciding to knock off anybody they're slightly jealous of.
That guy looks too good. He looks too good.
Yeah, I think my biggest negative is this movie doesn't make sense. There's a part
Yeah.
where Samuel L. Jackson explains all the exposition of everything by saying there's a guy that has a broken car and he likes to talk about dietary requirements, I guess, for 8 minutes. And in that 8 minutes, he escaped from his room, rolled all the way down to where that laser beam surgery thing is, figured out how to, like, destroy
He didn't
that
figure out
laser beam.
anything, Jordan. He just opened up a cabinet
Yeah,
and pulled
but-
out 4 monocles.
Put out 4 monocles, and then he presumably also in that time wheeled to what I assume isn't right next to each other, another building where he set up a way to live stream all these small cameras that don't appear to really be that connected, but to be an email chain. And then he also rolls all the way to where the horde is and has a 3-minute conversation, and then rolls back to his room, and he did all of that in supposedly the amount of time it takes for a guy to talk about drinking some more
Tablets.
water. And
Gotta get that vitamin D, man.
and then later he explains that the reason he's not comatose is because of sleight of hand with his medication. But that doesn't make sense because if you know anything about the way you administer medication to people who are more or less comatose, is you basically put it in their mouth. So what is he? What sleight of
he
hand
puts
is
it under his tongue.
Slided
Slotted
tongue.
mouth.
But the idea is you're meant to make, like, you don't, as a nurse, you're aware that people will try to do that. You make sure that they swallow their tablets.
Yep.
So, and when he opens it up, there's like 6 to 10 tablets there. So there's so much explained away where it's like, oh, he's the smartest guy, you don't need to
Don't
ask.
question it.
Don't question it. He said it's a thing, it's a thing. It's not a thing. It made no sense. That's my biggest negative.
Yeah. Well, that leads me into my biggest negative, which is the twist. That wasn't really a twist at all. Like, because correct me if I'm wrong, but the twist is when the bad lady is in the comic book store and the kids are like, he always has a plan. I'm like, yeah, you've just set him up as like the smartest guy in the world.
The
Like,
world.
he obviously knew how this was going
Also,
to go, kind of thing.
Really easy
Like,
to
that's
trope.
not a twist.
Yeah, it's really easy to trope him because we found out that someone just left the blueprints to a hospital in his room, I guess, and via that he realized that clearly there are no stairs in any of the buildings, which is good
For him, yeah.
And he shut down all of the power. So you know what I do is instead of saying we have a camera in every room, he's fucking going to use that. I just create 30 or 40 fake blueprints and just leave them around.
Just put him upstairs.
I'd just leave blueprints for him to find, and I'd make sure that all of them were wrong. Or I'd just make it so his wheelchair doesn't fucking move. He's in a room
So a
with
chair.
Yeah, well, yeah. But my point is like, they've put him in a room with nothing. Why wouldn't you just put him not in a wheelchair then? If you're afraid that he's going to escape, just not put him in a wheelchair. Made no sense.
It was just a twist for the sake of putting a twist
Yeah,
in.
exactly.
M. Night's known for having a twist in all of his films.
That's what
now
I was excited about.
So now I feel like, but now I feel like he's just like, well, we got to put a twist in. I feel like
there's a lot of pressure.
I feel like that's his entire
It's like maybe
view on
he-
filmmaking. It's like, well, it'll be good if there's a twist.
It's like maybe he wrote a good movie, but then he was like, they're expecting a twist, and I don't have one. I'll have to
kill
think of one.
everyone.
The lady
Yeah,
is
like, I
part of a
thought-
secret organization.
They all
I
died.
thought the twist was that the lady's part of the secret organization. I'm like, no, well, that's.
Well, the
I
other-
figured that out in the first
The
10
other
minutes.
twist is
like-
meant to be that James McAvoy's character's dad dies in the same train that Bruce Willis is in.
Yeah.
In Unbreakable, Bruce Willis is in a train accident. He's the sole survivor.
Yeah.
And the idea is Samuel L. Jackson caused that train crash, for people that don't know. And the twist is meant to be that James McAvoy's dad was also in that train, which means Samuel L. Jackson killed his dad. Thing is I've known that since Split came out, because in Split, it is said 3 times that his dad left via a train, and then
Yeah.
he never came back, and we don't know, like,
Yeah.
he didn't come back, but it's not specifically said that he chose not to. It just said, like, he hopped on the train, and that was the last we saw of him. And then at the end, it's like, oh, this is an Unbreakable sequel. And then if you watch any YouTube video related to
Yeah.
any of those things, every single person immediately made that connection,
Even if you
including
watch
me.
the first half of this film, because
Yeah.
they say, like,
Yeah, they
my
say.
dad died
In a train,
in
yeah.
a train or whatever.
And then in this, the kid's like, oh, I found something out. And the girl's like, I'm like, oh, they found out a twist. And then they're like, yeah, your dad was on the train. I'm like, I knew that.
No, we knew that. Yeah.
I thought they knew that. I didn't know he didn't know that. I assumed he knew that.
Twist. They don't know it yet.
Yeah,
Yeah. Oh, fair enough. Have we got anything else to say about the
I do.
film?
I have a small critique of Bruce
All right.
Willis. I just
It's too old.
no, he's just
Yeah.
He's
he
too
is,
old.
He
and
is.
he's,
What a,
The bit where he's running into the door and he's doing it really slowly.
he's
Yeah.
an old
And-
man jig.
Yeah.
He's such a. My description of him is a lost dad. He's such a lost dad. He doesn't know where he is, but it feels like he was woken up off a couch that, like, or a sofa or an armchair that he'd fallen asleep on, and woken up 30 seconds before each take.
I also didn't like. I don't know if it's the same in Unbreakable and Split, but they don't really seem like superheroes. Like,
No, no,
they
so
don't
the-
seem
No.
like they've got that much power. Like, it's
No.
obvious they do have.
It's like more grounded.
a little bit.
In a more grounded amount.
It's like
But, like,
the Daredevil series and stuff like that, where it's like
It's not.
they're street level strong, but in
Yeah.
comparison to a normal person,
If you come up
they're
against
quite-
a gun,
yeah.
you're still gonna die.
So they're actually, I'd almost argue that Bruce Willis seems more powerful in Unbreakable, and I'd also say that the Beast is more powerful in Split. In this film, they both seemed quite dumbed down. Well, if you think of in Unbreakable, it's like the idea is he can bench press anything. It's just, it will always feel like he's pushing his boundaries. Like, everything feels too heavy, but if you add something on top of that, he will be able to lift it, but it'll feel too
Yeah,
heavy.
he does
But
have
you can
his
add-
super strength comes across a little bit more in this film. He doesn't really use it much in Unbreakable, but in
think
this
he-
film he like throws a table and catches a table.
That was the worst choreography ever.
Yeah.
It's like, alright, the biggest
Table toss.
standoff. Alright, the beast is going to
Table
throw a
tossing.
table, but then he'll catch it and throw it back. But then the beast will catch it and throw it at a small girl.
Yeah.
And then,
So it's like, yeah, it's a bit weird. So I felt like his super strength felt a lot more prevalent in this film, but then, and also his like sensing thing, we kind of got a bit more of an idea of how
yeah,
that.
only
of-
at the
of how
beginning
that
though,
worked.
and then none of the rest.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is I was excited because one of the biggest cons I have in a lot of superhero movies, as you guys know, is where the villain has the same powers as the hero. Now in Split, the monster is described as having like fangs and a mane and being like, you know, animal-like, having characteristics of plenty, like a plethora of different animals. So I was like, all right, we're not just going to get a guy with super strength versus another guy with super strength, because the like James McAvoy's character has so many other things that he can do. But now we got a bit of a tussle between two blokes that I guess are relatively
strong.
and
Yeah.
because
I think
they have
just every single point that this film tried to hit was just a little bit under the
a
mark.
bit of a miss.
Yeah.
It was just a bit disappointing on every single
It's just
point.
Bruce Willis not knowing where he is a lot of the time.
Yeah.
And then James McAvoy
already said it.
just
I was trying to round it out, but no, you just want to jump right back in there, just say
I've
all
just
the
got-
same points again.
just one more flaw with Samuel L. Jackson's plan.
Yeah.
Is his overarching plan
Yeah.
is to send a small video of two people doing relatively impressive things.
Doing strongman things.
Doing
yeah.
just strong person, like a normal you could look it up on YouTube to find a guy bending a bar or doing a weird monkey run. And his thinking is
He's thinking.
His
His
thinking.
thinking is.
You now,
two different words.
you now have to finish in that accent.
No, when they receive, again, what appeared to just be a weird email link.
Yeah.
But when they receive this small, out-of-context video of just two people running a bit and bending a small bar, that people will realize superheroes are real and they exist. Whereas in reality, if I got sent that video, I'd go, cool. And that'd be it.
All right, let's wrap it up there. I think we could keep on talking about it forever, but
good.
I think we've said our points. K-Dogs, you have an idea on how we could finish up
No, I
this
told you I was
film?
going to stop doing these, Angus, because every time I come up with one, we do a different one instead. So, nah,
Thanks for your input.
you're welcome.
Birdman, do you have an idea? Or
We
anything?
could have a small tussle in a parking lot and Brody could film it and release it to everybody and
I-
tell people that heroes are real.
I think Angus should hit us up with some of his best glass-related puns.
Okay. I really already said all of them.
Oh, shattered.
Thank you for listening to the Film Slice podcast. That one was on Glass. Next one's on Mule, Clint Eastwood, all that jazz. See it before we do. Let us know your thoughts, and we'll try to hit them up in the next podcast. Hit you up, hit them up. I don't know.